Hello everyone, welcome to Advanced Knowledge System and a warm welcome to AKS IAS Academy. And about me, I'm Sandeep Bhushan Tumala and I take up the analysis of the Hindu newspaper, that is of the daily newspaper DNA of Hindu, that is today's of 27th of March 2021. And throughout my session in the daily news analysis, I would be emphasizing or focusing on the keywords and the key phrases from the Hindu newspaper, wherein we will identify the factual, analytical, and conceptual questions which will be crucial for UPSC prelims perspective. And while you get into the mode or imbibe the usage of the keywords and the key phrases in your answer writing for the mains examinations, your answers would be precise and concise, and thereby you would score higher marks in the mains examination. So this session at AKS IAS Academy Daily News Analysis will certainly help you to crack both prelims as well as mains for the year 2021. And before we get into the DNA of the newspaper, we would be focusing at the quote of the day. And the quote of the day says that life is like riding a bicycle, and to keep the balance of the bicycle, you must keep moving. So what is important is to make sure that if you want your life to be balanced, you need to keep on moving. Do not stop anywhere. Do not have any kind of pause, because life is like riding a bicycle. Once you stop, there is always a possibility that you might fall down. So keep going and make sure that you will reach the goal what you have dreamt about. And now we'll get into the DNA of the newspaper. And here again we have the Supreme Court which has given a judgment in regards to the electoral bonds or the sale of the electoral bonds. And the Supreme Court on March 26, 2021 has refused to put a stay on the sale of electoral bonds, which was raised by an NGO, that is the Association for Democratic Reforms, as challenged and has gone ahead with filing a petition in the Supreme Court that the Supreme Court should go ahead with staying the sale of electoral bonds. But the Supreme Court has refused to stay and also refused the petition of the Association for Democratic Reforms NGO, and it said that it will not stay the sale of electoral bonds before the crucial assembly elections such as West Bengal and Tamil Nadu. And in turn, the Supreme Court has agreed that the sale of electoral bond scheme, it protects the identity of the purchasers in a cloak of anonymity. So as there was an apprehension which was raised by the NGO, the Supreme Court has agreed that the scheme, that is the sale of electoral bonds, protects the identity of the purchaser. That is, in a cloak of anonymity. That is, it will not really highlight, or it will not really make sure that the one who have gone ahead with purchasing of the electoral bonds would be made open. But it has highlighted that the purchases happens only through a regular banking channels, and when the purchases of the electoral bonds happens through the regular banking channels, that is such as like State Bank of India, then the Supreme Court says that eventually the one who has purchased or the one who has bought can be made available. But here the point what we need to understand is very crucial. It is trivial, but please do understand. Here are two keywords: identity of the purchaser and the identity of the buyer. These are the two keywords which you need to understand for the conceptual understanding of the verdict of the Supreme Court, which has refused to put a stay on the sale of electoral bonds, which was raised by the NGO and which has raised the apprehensions of the sale of electoral bonds. And thereby the court says that the scheme protects the identity of the purchaser as a cloak of anonymity, but it says that as it is, the entire process of the sale of electoral bonds is taken up or it happens through the regular banking channels. So the State Bank of India eventually knows the identity of the buyer. So definitely we need not really worry about or need not have any apprehensions which is raised by the NGO. That is what the Supreme Court judgment says, and the judgment has come on an urgent application which was moved by an NGO called as Association for Democratic Reforms, which is represented by an advocate, Prashant Bhushan. And there are serious apprehensions made by the NGO, and now we will look at it. And it has raised, that is, NGO has raised serious apprehensions, that is in regards to the sale of electoral bonds just before the 5 state assembly elections, which were supposed to take place from the sale from April 1st to April 10 of 2021. And it says that the apprehension is that there would be increase of illegal and illicit funding of the political parties through the shell companies, and this is the apprehension made by NGO in regards to the sale of the electoral bonds. But in turn, the court has given an answer to the apprehensions made by NGOs, saying that the bonds could be purchased by a person who is a citizen of India or incorporated person or established in India. So in this scenario, what the apprehension by the NGO that there would be an illegal and illicit funding by the political parties through the shell companies is being nullified by saying the court that a person who purchases the bond should be a citizen of India. And also the court raises the clause that under clause 7 of the electoral bond scheme, the buyers have to apply in a prescribed form, which is through physically or online, and they have to disclose all the particulars, the one who is buying the electoral bonds. And as per the clause 7 of the electoral bonds, so definitely there is entire information either physically or online, so there is no point that there is any kind of anonymity, the apprehension raised or challenged by the petitioner, that is the NGO. And the court also says that under clause 14 of the scheme, the bonds are not tradable. So when the bonds are not tradable, then there is no further apprehension in regards to the illegal and illicit funding, which it can happen, the point raised by the NGO. And it says that the first buyer will not stand to gain anything. The one who buys the electoral bonds, the court says that they will not gain anything out of the sale, because the first buyer loses only the white money. So there is no point in that there could be an illegal and illicit funding of the political parties through the shell companies. So we need to focus this Supreme Court verdict, which has refused to put a stay onto the sale of electoral bonds just before the elections for the 5 assembly states, and especially the bigger states which are going for the elections, that is West Bengal and Tamil Nadu. And what we need to focus is the apprehensions made by the NGO and the explanation given by the Supreme Court against the apprehensions made by the NGO. So we will now focus once again, we'll summarize this. The apprehension was the anonymity of the buyers, and what did this court say is that this provides anonymity but ensures that the entire process of purchase and the buying or the sale and buying of the electoral bonds takes place through a banking channel, and thereby the SBI will have all the particular details. So there is nothing to worry about the buyer and purchaser. And the second one is that the apprehension is that corporate houses can finance the political parties, and thereby there could be an illicit and illegal funding which can take place. But the Supreme Court has said that buying bonds will not have, and anyone who is buying bonds will have to fill the KYC forms, that could be in physical or online. Therefore, the entire information is with the particular organization or the banking channels. So therefore they cannot be, and it can be purchased. The third one is that corporate houses can buy bonds and influence the electoral politics. This is a third apprehensions made by the NGO. But the court said that the bonds can be purchased by the citizen of India or who is incorporated or established. So therefore there is no point in saying that it can influence the electoral politics, and wherein the foreign corporate houses can buy the electoral bonds. Now it is very clear the apprehensions which are being erased, and the statement made by the Supreme Court is that it can be purchased by only the citizen of India or the one who is incorporated or established. And the fourth apprehension is that bonds bought with white money can be repurchased with black money. And what the Supreme Court has given an answer to the apprehension or the statement is the bonds are not tradable. So therefore there is nothing like white money turning into black money or black money further being transferred into a white money, because the bonds, that is the sale or the purchase of the electoral bonds, are not tradable. Here the main point is that you need to focus about the apprehensions and the judgment of the court. Apprehension of the NGOs in regards to the sale of the electoral bonds. If you can try to understand the difference or what were the apprehensions and how did the Supreme Court give an answer out to the counter to the apprehensions of NGOs, then you will have a conceptual understanding about what are the electoral bonds and how it might impact the anonymity. Corporate houses can influence political parties, or foreign corporate houses can buy bonds and influence electoral politics, and bonds bought with white money can be repurchased with the black money, and in turn the black money can be converted into white money. So these apprehensions, if you can understand, then you will know it very well about the concept of sale of electoral bonds and link it with the good governance. Good governance, how there is a possibility that this could influence or illegal and illicit funding of political parties through the shell companies. And now we will look at another news which talks about between or the relations between India and Bangladesh. So we know that the Bangladesh country was formed by or the aftermath of the Bangladesh Liberation War of Independence in the year 1971. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi has addressed a special gathering on the National Day celebrations of Bangladesh in Dhaka, and this celebration has marked the 50th anniversary of country's independence. That is the Bangladesh War of Liberation of 1971. And while he was addressing, that is Mr. Modi, while he was addressing the National Day celebration, which has marked the 50th anniversary of Bangladesh independence, he has said that the creation of Bangladesh in the year 1971 has received support from all sections of Indian political class. So here he is sending a message to Bangladesh on the National Day celebration that all the sections of the Indian political class have supported the creation of Bangladesh or Bangladesh, liberation of war of 1971. And he has also said that the Bangladesh was created with the blood of the freedom fighters of the then East Pakistan and also it was created by the blood of the Indian soldiers who were martyred in the War of Liberation of 1971. So here 2 points or the two keywords what we need to focus, which our Prime Minister Narendra Modi has emphasized on the National Day celebration in Dhaka, is that Indian political class and the blood of Indian soldiers. Please do understand these two keywords, that all the sections of the Indian political class have supported the Bangladesh or the creation of the Bangladesh country, and the Bangladesh was created with the blood of also the Indian soldiers along with the blood of the Bangladesh freedom fighters in the year 1971. And while he was addressing, he has emphasized that both India and Bangladesh have to fight together the terrorism. And it is the need of the hour that both the countries should fight jointly against the terrorism. And he has also mentioned that putting a blame on the operation which was taken up by the West Pakistan onto the East Pakistan, that is the operation called as Operation Searchlight on March 25th, 1971. And this operation, that is Operation Searchlight by the West Pakistan onto the East Pakistan on March 25, 1971, has unleashed a reign of terror in the country, that is now in Bangladesh. So look at the way the Prime Minister has blamed the operation taken up by the West Pakistan onto the East Pakistan on March 25, 1971, and he mentions this, the operation has unleashed a reign of terror in the Bangladesh. And in turn, he has put forth this statement that both the countries, that India and Bangladesh, have to fight jointly against terrorism. Look at the way he has put forth that Operation Searchlight has unleashed a reign of terror in the country. And he also said that both India and Bangladesh have shared the common goals and also challenges. And in turn, while there are common challenges between both the countries, or else wherein the both India and Bangladesh are facing the challenges, so this is the time wherein the two countries should remain focused in regards to the dealing the challenges, and the challenges such as the biggest challenge for both the countries is terrorism. That means there is lot of focus or emphasis made on the common challenge which both the countries, India and Bangladesh, should focus on jointly fighting against terrorism. And while he was addressing the National Day celebration in Dhaka on the 50th anniversary, he has paid rich tributes to the National Martyrs Memorial at Sawar. This is again important for prelims perspective, because there could be a question that which among the following statement is incorrect in regards to the 50th anniversary of Bangladesh. That is, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has paid tribute to the martyrs at the National Martyrs Memorial at which place? Please do understand this or keep it in mind. That is Sawar. And he also said that the sacrifice made by the martyrs in the historic war of 1971 will remain as a legacy not only in India, Bangladesh and now Pakistan, but it will remain as a lasting legacy in South Asia. So he has emphasized the importance of the martyrs who have sacrificed their life and been participating, or they have been participated in the historic war of liberation of Bangladesh in 1971 is a legacy in South Asia. And while he was paying a rich tributes, he has also planted a sapling, that is Arjun sapling. Again, this is important for prelims perspective. He has planted a sapling at the memorial grounds, that is Arjun, and he has also interacted with delegation of Mukti Jodhas. These are the Mukti Jodhas who were very crucial when the Operation searchlight has been taken up by the West Pakistan onto the East Pakistan in the year 1971, that is in the month of March or on March 25th, 1971. These Mukti Jodhas, who were or they are the former guerrillas who had fought the war in 1971, in turn, when it has taken or blown into a complete war, and then India has been part of it because of few reasons which we will look at. India-Bangladesh relations, and here the another keyword is Mukti Jodhas. So these are the ones which you need to focus for prelims perspective, that is in regards to the 50th anniversary of Bangladesh independence, that is while delivering a while addressing a gathering, the Prime Minister at the National Day celebration in Dhaka. This is again in regards to the India-Bangladesh relations, or else the War of Liberation of 1971. And there is another news which talks about wherein the Supreme Court has ruled completely in favor of the Tata Sons Private Limited. Here, the Supreme Court has backed the Tata Sons Private Limited, and the Supreme Court has set aside the decision taken by the NCLAT, that is by the National Company Law Appellate Tribunal, which the NCLAT has taken a decision or an order on Cyrus Mistry. So we will look at what the Supreme Court has, or how the Supreme Court has backed the Tata Sons, and it has set aside the rule or the order or the decision taken up by the National Company Law Appellate Tribunal on Cyrus Mistry. And the Supreme Court, while it has set aside the decision taken by the NCLAT, that the NCLAT order was to reinstate Cyrus Mistry as the executive chairman. Please do understand. Now we are focusing on what is the order or the decision taken up by the National Company Law Appellate Tribunal. So the decision was by the NCLAT to reinstate. That means Cyrus Mistry was shredded from the post or from the chair of executive chairman. When he has approached the NCLAT, NCLAT has given an order that the Cyrus Mistry has to be reinstated as the executive chairman of Tata Sons Private Limited, because Cyrus Mistry was a minority shareholder of Shapoorji Pallonji Group's company, and thereby the NCLAT decision was to reinstate Cyrus Mistry, who was the minority shareholder of the group, that is Shapoorji Pallonji Groups, as executive chairman. But again, when the Tata Sons have approached the Supreme Court in regards to challenging the decision of the NCLAT to reinstate Cyrus Mistry as the executive chairman of the Tata Sons Private Limited, the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, Sharete Bobde, has said that the ouster or the removal of Cyrus Mistry of executive chairman and also the removal of Cyrus Mistry as the director is justified. Look at it, not only in regards to the NCLAT decision to reinstate the Cyrus Mistry as the executive chairman of the Tata Sons Private Limited was ruled out completely, and in turn the Supreme Court has ruled completely in favor of Tata Sons Private Limited, saying that the ouster by the Tata Sons Private Limited against the Cyrus Mistry as the executive chairman and also as the director was justified. And the court has dismissed all the allegations put forth by Cyrus Mistry, saying that Tata Sons Private Limited as the majority shareholder has oppressed the minority shareholder. Who is the minority shareholder? It is Shapoorji Pallonji Group. And he said that there was no such allegations, and all the allegations put forth by Cyrus Mistry in regards to the operation by the Tatas or Tata Sons Private Limited as a majority stakeholder oppressing the minority shareholder, that is Shapoorji Pallonji Group, has been dismissed by the Supreme Court, and now the Supreme Court has ruled in favor of the Tata Sons Private Limited. And the Supreme Court also said that Cyrus Mistry's ouster as executive chairman and director is justified. And the another news is in regards to the brigade commander level meet, and this brigade commander level meet is a keyword which now we have to focus, or we are focusing not in regards to the meet between India and China along the LAC, but it is the brigade commander level talk between India and Pakistan in Jammu and Kashmir, Poonch district of Jammu and Kashmir. And this brigade commander level meeting was held on March 26, 2021. And this has put forth a kind of platform that both India and Pakistan are definitely trying to have some kind of adjustments that they would bring back the confidence building measures once again onto the table, that the 2003 ceasefire agreement would be abided in control. And this meeting is the first kind of meeting wherein on February 25th, 2021, there was a joint statement made by both India and Pakistan that both the countries are reaffirming the commitment of 2003 ceasefire agreement along the LOC, that is line of control between India and Pakistan. And this is the meeting, that is the brigade commander level meeting, has a certain emphasis that the joint statement made by both the countries in regards to the commitment to abide the 2003 ceasefire agreement would certainly lay a foundation or a platform that both the countries would still come up with various confidence building measures. And this meeting was held at the Poonch district of Jammu and Kashmir at a crossing point, that is at a Rawalkot crossing point, Rawalkot or Poonch Rawalkot crossing point. And in this meeting, what was discussed was, it was in regards to the implementation mechanism as per the understanding of the February 25th, 2021, that both the countries would abide by the 2003 ceasefire agreement. So the meeting at the brigade commander level flag meeting was to discuss the implementation mechanism as per the understanding. And the meeting has taken place amid a complete peace which was maintained by both the countries' armies along the LOC, which both the countries have agreed to abide by the 2003 ceasefire agreement. That is why there is a complete peace maintained by both the armies. And in turn, the meeting was to discuss the implementation mechanism, how both the countries would now widen the scope, of confidence building measures taken up by both India and Pakistan along the LOC, that both the countries would abide by the 2003 ceasefire agreement. Please do understand here, the key word is the confidence building measures and the ceasefire agreement between India and Pakistan of 2003 ceasefire agreement. And this now the commander level or brigade commander level meeting would be, or there is a speculation that there would be further widening of the scope of the confidence building measures between India and Pakistan along the LOC. And what is the importance of the Rawalkot? That is wherein the both the brigaders commander level talk, both the countries have taken up or they have held the meeting is at the Poonch Rawalkot crossing point. And this Rawalkot is a trading point between India and Pakistan. That is more specifically between India and Pakistan. There is an area which is, we call it as Pakistan occupied Kashmir, and the Pakistan call it as Azad Kashmir. So that we will look at other point, but the Rawalkot is a trading point, and this trading point was closed by the Ministry of Home Affairs in the year 2019, because the Ministry of Home Affairs has got a report that through this Rawalkot, a trading point, there was terror funding which was taking place, and thereby once the report of terror funding through the Rawalkot, which is a trading point, which the Ministry of Home Affairs have got the intelligence report, and then in the year 2019 they have closed the trading point. And this now the brigade commander level talks which has taken up at the Rawalkot crossing point is a trading point. Thereby there would be a scenario that a further widening of confidence building measures would also open up, which was closed by the Ministry of Home Affairs on the reports of terror funding. The Rawalkot trading point could be a possibility, speculations that there could be a kind of approach taken up by both the countries to relieve the tensions so that the talks can take place. And if we look at from geography map based, this from international relations or India-Pakistan bilateral relations, we have focused especially in regards to the 2003 ceasefire agreement, and also how the brigade level or brigade commander level meeting would further widen the confidence building measures between India and Pakistan. And this brigade commander level meeting has taken place at Poonch Rawalkot crossing point. So this is the place Poonch, which is south of Srinagar and the north of Jammu, and it is at the LOC. If you look at this color which we are now focusing is the line of control, and the blue one is the international border. So international border between India and Pakistan is 2313 kilometers, and the line of control between India and Pakistan is 772 kilometers. And this LOC also touches the Siachen Glacier, which is the world's highest battlefield. It is the world's highest battlefield, and there Siachen Glacier, yes, India has control over it. And recent past we have also had many classes in regards to the Aksai Chin or else the eastern Ladakh area. This is the LAC. So this is the LAC. So LAC is between India and China, and LOC is between India and Pakistan. And when we look at the Poonch district in Jammu and Kashmir, wherein in the Poonch you have the Rawalkot crossing or the Rawalkot trading point. If we focus still further, the areas here which are right from here till here, that is in regards to the LOC. Now we will look at from geography map based the places which are part of the or which crosses the LOC between or the point at LOC between India and Pakistan. Especially we would say not India and Pakistan but India and POK. But in turn Pakistan says that It is not POK, but it is Azad Kashmir. So we will focus which are that areas of POK or Azad Kashmir called by Pakistan or POK called by India. So if you look at the northern part of the LOC, so this is LOC, and the northern part is, if you look at, this is Muzaffarabad, and then extremely sorry, this is Neelam, and this is Muzaffarabad, and then this is Hathian, this is a place Bagh, and then you have Haveli here, and this is Poonch. So this is the place wherein the brigadier command level meeting has taken place between India and the Pakistan military. And then the south of Poonch is Sudnithi, and the south of Sudnithi is Kotli, and then south of Kotli is Mirpur, and then south you have Bhimber. So these are the places which are part of the LOC. Please do understand, this could be a question, unexpected question, probability, which among the following are not part of the areas which are along the LOC between India and Pakistan. So you have Neelam, and then Muzaffarabad, Hathian, Bagh, Haveli, Poonch, and then Sudnithi, Kotli, Mirpur, and Bhimber. So these are the one, and this is the Jammu and Kashmir we have on the Indian side, Srinagar, Jammu. As I said, Poonch is the south of Srinagar, and Poonch is north of Jammu. So this, from geography map based, you can take it into consideration, and we have focused the kilometers of LOC between India and Pakistan, and the kilometers of international border between India and Pakistan. That is 2313 kilometer international border, and line of control is 772 kilometers, and the areas which are part of LOC between India and Pakistan. So I hope this was informative, knowledgeable session from AKS IAS Academy, which would be crucial for prelims as well as mains examination. So I would say a very big thank you to all, and a good luck to you all. Do maintain consistency, stick to your schedule, and then take care of your physical health and mental health. And do not forget to like the video, share the video, and subscribe the AKS IAS English Medium YouTube channel, and also have access to the website and to the Telegram link of AKS IAS Academy, that is Advanced Knowledge System. And then see you again on Monday with AKS IAS Academy Daily News Analysis. Till then, thank you, goodbye, and then take care.